I think there's still people that are coming in. So we're broadcasting this live on Facebook, and we're also doing it on YouTube, so we can save it on YouTube, okay? So then we can share it back out with anyone that needs a copy of it or part of it or something like that. Excited, just excited to just to be here. And we'll wait a few more minutes before we actually get started to allow some more people to come in, maybe about, 5 more minutes or so. Because I keep admitting them. We'll leave all our questions for towards the end so we can do a Q&A at the end. We'll just have each speaker speak on um, their part. We're going to be talking about probate, Ladybird Deed, about reverse mortgage, about putting your property inside of a trust. We're also going to be talking about insurance, mortgage insurance, term life insurance, and stuff like that. All end of life stuff. And what we're going to be talking about. Miss Rosemarie and I did a podcast on just end of life stuff because there was just so much stuff to do at the end of life, to get ready. And it's better to be ready and be prepared than not be ready, because a lot of time that's what turns the family into a chaos, and they're fighting, and one person want to be cremated, the other don't want this one to be cremated, and so we just want to make sure that everyone leave their last will and testament of what they want. If, my brother, I laugh at my brother. He says, don't put any socks on his foot. I told him, I said, I make sure I put socks on your feet, so, but excited about just doing this. I've been talking to my church sisters and brothers at church, and a lot of them are just what kind of made me want to do this. A lot of them was talking about their loved ones are out there, and they called them and asked them if they could help them balance your checkbook and help them to set up their light bill and stuff like that. So it's just kind of just, they need help. As we get older, we all need help. I mean, even when we're young, we forget things. Um, hang on. Just a few more minutes, we'll wait and get started as everyone comes in. If you have your any questions, you can save them for the end. Don't put them inside the chat, because if it'll get lost inside the chat, but maybe you'll write them down, and then we'll have each person unmute themselves and then maybe ask your questions, and we'll carry on a conversation at the end. Each speaker is going to have a few minutes to talk about their topic, and then you can ask any questions that you may want to ask. Okay, so it's 6:35 now. Just give it maybe just a few more minutes as we let everyone else in. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right, good, great, great. All right, I'm usually a person that starts on time, so I like to start on time. I respect everyone's time, so I want to just give it a few more minutes, but I think we have given it plenty enough time in order to get started. And of course, they can always watch the um the the recording on either they can go and watch it on Facebook, and then it also YouTube, so we can always share it out. So we're just gonna jump right in and get started. Hi guys, welcome to Your Voice Matter. I'm Viv Cunningham, and I'm with Preferred Real Estate Brokers, selling the American dream here in Central Florida. So today we're going to be talking about the hassles of probate. And the reason why I wanted to do this is lately I've been getting probate listing, and I see a difference of either it went through probate and it's finished, or it's inside of a trust and it didn't have to go through probate. So I had both experience, one where it went through trust, and within 30 days I'm able to sell that property and move on. And then the other is still, sometimes it takes so long just before before anything is started, or for you to be able to say, okay, well, I'm gonna file probate. But it is not something that's easy. It is something that I would say it's for a lot of the homeowners, it's very difficult. And that's why we want to make sure that as you get to the end of life, you're not here worrying about what it is that's going to take place. Okay. So today we have on, I'll have them introduce themselves as we go. We have Miss Rosemarie Roth, which is Pastor Rosemarie Roth, and she has many, many, many names, many, many titles and stuff like that. I met her many years back, and she's been a mentor to me. She has been a guidance to me. So eventually she's going to be talking. I also have Milagros, which she I was introduced to her by my lender, and she's been like a blessing to me, where anything when it comes to either with the not the trust, but with the term life insurance and stuff like that, I can always call on her. Or if anything about mortgage protection, I remember my mom, we were going through that with my mom, and you answered a lot of questions for my mom and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. I'm very happy to be able to be introduced to you. And then, of course, I have Beverly and Martha in here, which is going to be talking about the myth of a reverse mortgage, because a lot of times we think that a reverse mortgage is so bad that we don't want to go through it. But actually, I've known people that gone through it, and it's very pleasing. It's very pleasing. And she's going to talk about that a little bit, because she had experience with people going through it, and friends and family and stuff like that. So she know. And then, of course, we'll be talking about probate. We're going to be talking about Ladybird Deed, and we're going to consider, should we consider a will or a trust or both or whatever it is. And of course, the common mistakes that we all make. And then, of course, at the end, we'll do some live stories. We're going to tell some live stories of things that happens, and then we'll have questions and answer, and then we'll move on and go from there. But anyway, so let's jump right in and get started. Okay, what we will cover today? We'll cover the probate, why people should avoid the probate, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the power of a ladybird deed. We're going to talk about the roles of a will and a trust, and the common myth of like reverse mortgage and different things like that, because a lot of times we hear a lot of different things about a reverse mortgage, or we hear something about a will or trust and things like that. So we're gonna see how is it that you can get started. How can you get started in any of these? Of course, we are not attorneys, okay? So none of us are attorneys on here, unless there's an attorney. And if there's an attorney, I'd like for them to raise their hand. As a matter of fact, the second part of this is going to be with an attorney. The attorney is actually traveling today, so she's landing today, so she was not able to come on, but she will be coming on. And the next one, which is in August, she's going to be coming on, and she have done probates for me, and she have done all kinds of work for me when it comes to the trust and wills and stuff like that. So she's very vast on it, where she's able to take it and run. And she went through the court and did it, and she did it pretty fast too. A lot of these attorneys take really long, but she's on it. She gets started filing, and she's just on it. She's just been such an asset to me when it comes to doing a probate, or taking somebody out of their properties or something like that. So she's going to be coming on in August, and she's going to be doing some question and answer and stuff like that. But I will give you a date on that when that's going to happen. Okay. But how do we get started? We get started, we say one step at a time. Okay. The first step, what do you do? Okay. So we need to take control of what is going on and around us. We need to rope our family members in and let our family members know. Keep in mind, if you have somebody be the head of your will, the executor of your will. You need to make sure that they know that. Okay, just don't assign somebody the executive, because not everyone is a good executor of that will. So make sure that you are telling that person, you are my executor of the will. Still admitting people. Okay, so and then with the probate, let's start off with talking with the probate. With the probate, no lie, it can take anywhere from a few weeks, depending on where you are in it, or if not years. Family members, I've gone through family members that tell me that we are still going through probate after 2 years, and my mom bank account is drained. Okay, so that is what we're trying to prevent. It include a lots of fees, okay, attorney costs and delay. And I even find out from doing all this research that when it does go through a probate, they can take up to 1.5% of the estate, of the house that you're selling. So it costs a lot of money compared to just doing something simple where it only costs a few $100s. So this is just trying to save you some money. Okay. And then of course it's public and it's also stressful. Okay. So we're trying to kind of eliminate a lot of the stress out of the senior's life. And why I told my friend Pam, she's on here, that I was kind of slowing down. So I wanted to, I deal with a lot of first time home buyers, but I want to slow down and deal with seniors because it seems like it's a lot less, the pace is a lot for me now. Before I was like, go, 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 go. My husband is always telling me, slow down. So I'm trying to slow down and listen more to the seniors and stuff like that. But it's with the life impact of the probate, what it does, it delay the selling of the house. So it's not like you can put it on the market, but you still have to. I'm letting them people still. You can put the house on the market, but of course the probate has to go through first. And then family, there's always family dispute when it comes to a probate. I don't know. It seems like when people are alive, when family members are alive, they're okay. But as soon as they pass on, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, whatever, what happened? It's like, they start fighting. There's all kind of, dispute and things like that. That's why put your last wish in writing. Put it in writing, okay? And then of course the probate, it costs financial strain during the emotional time. And emotional, it is not easy. I just had people that are in front of me and they're crying. They didn't expect their parents to pass on, and then all of a sudden, they pass on and they left the car, they left this, they left that, or you can't find your will, or they forgot to update the will and put somebody else in charge of it. There's just so much stuff that goes on. And when Miss Rosemarie and I was talking, I realized, oh my gosh, it's like so much, so I can imagine if it's so much for me, can you imagine how stressful it is for the senior? So one of my thing is I learned about Ladybird Deed from Beverly, because when we were talking about that, but I did a lot of research on it, and it's been so awesome just to be able to. I just had my mom worked on hers, so hers is all finished, which is good. But to work on the Ladybird Deed, it's real simple and easy. It doesn't cost as much money. Okay, it's an enhanced life estate deed, and it keeps you in control of the house until you pass on, and then automatically it's passed on to your next of kin or your next person. Excuse me, I'm just letting in people that are coming in. But it passed on, it can pass directly on to them, which is easy and it's inexpensive. I've been doing research on it, and it says to do a Ladybird Deed, it's cost anywhere between $500 to $600 compared to probate. I did my estate, and my gosh, it cost me thousands of dollars. I think it was about $6,000, between $5,000 to $6,000 I ended up paying just for the will, the trust, and everything like that. Not counting, anything else. But it's quite expensive. So to avoid that, it'd be good if you can avoid that. Okay. And then with the Ladybird Deed, you can revoke it or change it at any time. Okay. So it's not set in stone. It's something that you can say, okay, well, I don't want this, or I don't want that. The benefits of Ladybird Deed. So far, it's one of my favorite. I had a call today from someone. They were asking me, was it inside? Is it only in the state of Florida? So in the other state, okay, so in Florida it's called a Ladybird Deed, but there's a lot of other states and that has something called transfer of death, which is TOD. Okay, so you can look that up. Of course, consult with your attorney, your legal team. But see what they call it in your state. Look it up. There's got to be something that they call it in Florida. Of course, it's a Ladybird deed from Ladybird Johnson deed. So that is like really really cool. Okay, just a recap about what a will is and a trust. A will is a direct of how the asset are distributed. Okay, and it still goes through the probate. That's what a will does. So a lot of people, when I talked to them, they were talking to me, but they said, I have a will. But the person that the house is listed, I have a will. Okay, but it still had to go through probate because they only have a will said, okay, the house will be passed on to the siblings or passed on to their daughter, their sons, or whatever. That's just a will. You would also need a trust. Okay, you will consult with your attorney and see which trust is better for you. Okay, the trust will avoid the probate. Okay, and then of course if you have multiple assets, remember you can put it all in one, you can put it all in the trust. So that's what I did. I put everything that I did, everything, my jewelry, whatever I want, I put that inside of the trust. And then what I did is I have 6 grandkids, so I named different, what each person will get or something like that. So that's what the trust does. The trust controls everything of the distribution of your family, who gets what. And then, so you will need that trust. So the will is just a will that says the stuff goes to them, but the trust controls everything. The trust is the mother load. Okay. It offer more control, especially for large estates. Sometimes if you have large, I don't have a large estate, but I still did a trust. I don't have a large estate, but I figure it was the best thing. There was when I reached a certain age, I was kind of when I reached the age of 50, all of a sudden I started getting nervous. And I started saying, what happened if I pass on? Blah, 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 blah. What will happen to my husband? Stuff like that. So I just went ahead and set that up, which make it much easier. And then when you do set that up, you have such peace of mind. Okay, you have such peace of mind. So go ahead and set it up. Go ahead and consult with your legal person, your attorney, whosoever it is that does your paperwork. Go ahead, your CPA, go ahead and consult with them and see what it is that is better for you or the best for you inside your state. Of course, we live in the state of Florida. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Rosemarie Roth. Miss Rosemarie Roth, Pastor Rosemarie Roth. She's the founder of Alpha Point. Okay, she's an author, a community advocate, and the end of life doula. I never knew about what an end of life doula was until I actually talked to her. It's like, what the heck is that? It's like, is it a birth? But finally, we did a podcast on it. And let me tell you something, she had so much she had to say, and I said, wow, wow. So turn it over, Miss Rosemarie Roth. You have the floor. You can unmute yourself. Can you hear me? Unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself.
Well, thank you so much for
Okay, there you
that
go.
introduction. Here I am. It's nice to see everyone, and it's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure to share what an end of life doula is. End of life doula could also be called end of life let's see now, end of life doula, death doula, or a death midwife. And normally this person is there when a loved one is leaving this earth. There's the midwife and the birthing doula who is there to welcome
Are you
someone,
frozen?
and I'm the one that helps them to go out. And what qualifies me to be one? Well, I have several certifications. I'm a pastor, I'm a chaplain, and along I'm a paralegal. I have about 14 different certifications. Okay, it's not required, but it's encouraged. If you're a nurse or some kind of caregiver for patients, and you have a background in legal and you have a background in being a pastor, then basically you merge these certifications, and the more you know, the more you have, the more equipped you are to help the family. So what am I doing? As a pastor, I officiate at the funerals, okay? And I do the wordings, they would say rituals, to read a purse, to read scriptures of encouragement for the family. And it's also important as a pastor to be present for a funeral. And that is, there is something about the person who was here on this earth that their lives were very valuable. And we tend to want to talk about their legacy. What did they do while they were here? And now that they're gone, we celebrate who they were here, and we carry their memories with us. Now, as a chaplain, I am not entitled to tell someone what to do with their lives. Okay, I'm to listen to where they're at spiritually. If they ask my advice to explain who Christ is or why I believe what I believe, then at that point I will do that. But I'm supposed to be there for the person that needs my services. So a chaplain is a person who is present, not talking, not interfering, not giving any opinion, but just being present there with the family to bring comfort and to bring instructions as far as whatever it is that they're asking for. Now, as an end of life doula, no, that's different. If I'm there as on the capacity of an end of life doula, then the body start having a decline, and I'm able to share with the family what the transformation is going on in a person's body. Like for instance, when life is really going, the feet loses blood circulation, so the feet are very cold, and it works its way up because inside your feet it tells what's happening in all the organs that are within your body. So if the kidney is shutting down, the feet is going to hurt, feel it. If the heart is shutting down, it's going to show up in the feet also. If the lungs are showing up, is shutting down, it will reflect in the feet. So basically, at that point, as an end of life doula, now I don't have to be a nurse, but I have an idea as to what it is that is happening to the body. Okay, we can also tell from the blood pressure going down, and or the potassium level, or the person reaching for loved one, or there's just certain signs that goes on, and we're there to tell the family that this is normal. It's okay for them to be going through what they're going through. So far I've told you three categories, positions that I hold and that I'm able to walk in those shoes at that moment. I have a lot of titles, but the only one that I carry that I really love is the word servant. I love to serve. And at the end of my day, I hope that when I show up before God, He says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You did a lot down there, girl." And I'll say, "All right." I want to go home empty. I was told that the graveyard holds the most treasures because there's so many people who have died without achieving a little bit of their purpose to being on this earth. Me, I have 74 books published. Yes, sir. And with that, anything that's in me coming out. So when Jesus said that, in the Bible, it says that if the world was to write a chapter about the life of Jesus on this earth, this world wouldn't be able to hold it. So he turned to the men now and says, "Greater works will you do, greater work than what I have done." So since he never authored a book, he's authoring several through me. And I say, thank you, God, for that moment. Anyway, at the end of life, we have to get on the legal part of it now. The patient, the loved one, has to come face to face with the finality. Now, listen, God gave us this body, and He gave us authority to maintain this body, which is to feed it, wash it, dress it, fix it up, and be pretty and act and do all the things that the body was designed to do. But at the end of life, when that body is no longer workable for you, it's your responsibility by law to make plans to dispose of this body. This in the Bible, it says that we live in a temple, which is a building. This is just the shell that represents who Rosemarie is. So at the time of my death, I have to relate to my family. If I want to be cremated, want to be buried or buried at sea, or go in a green burial, or whatever the case is, use me to be food for the animals, the birds, whatever. I am to tell them what I want. As for me, I want to be cremated. Do I want a funeral? Preferably not. But it's not for me, it's for the living. The living gets a chance to close the chapter, the grieving process, to be able to close that. So we cannot deny them if they would like to have a memorial service and to close out the chapter of the person's life. Something about a funeral says finality. It is closed, it is finished. You have come to the end, and we would like to lay you down. So, therefore, as an end of life doula, I go beyond being a chaplain and beyond being a pastor and be able to say, these are the things that you need to do, because it's your body, your responsibility. And if you don't make plans for the disposal of your body, somebody else will. And I have a friend right now who passed away. He has no next of kin. He made no preparation, and the body is just sitting in a morgue. So I stepped forth and I says, well, that's a part of our ministry. And that is, if they will, the city will give me the body, then we will take care of the funeral. And they were excited. They were glad. They were really grateful for the offer. But that will take a while, because the coroner and the different people will have to sign off the paperwork in order for them to release that possession to somebody who is not a next of kin. Now, for my job as an end of life doula, I go through a checklist with the person who is passing away, and that is, they go through a checklist with their, make sure that their will, last will and testament is up to date, signed, really signed. It has to be signed, not just written and put down. I was told that Aretha Franklin's will was found inside a couch. Imagine that. That was the second one, and it totally demolished the other wills, because this was the one she was writing, signed, and somebody apparently walked into the house and startled her, and she shoved it between the cushion and forgot about it. Okay, we don't want to do that. We need to have someone who we trust and be able to share this information with. Am I okay? Should I stop now?
Go ahead.
Finish it off. Okay. So then the person who is dying, they also have a wish. A wish is, sometimes they don't want to be alone. They would like to hear music, and they will give that kind of a request to the end of life doula, and they will make a provision for being present. Okay. It's that person who is there singing, giving ice chips in the mouth, and that's on that level. To sit with the person, there's a charge. Okay. But just for information, as a pastor, I'm available, and I just have a lot of information and referrals that I can do. But as an end of life doula, if I'm going to be sitting with the person, one gentleman asked me to hold him in my arms, and I held him like a baby until he passed away. And every time that death was coming, he opened his eyes, and I said, I'm right here. It's okay.
Oh.
And he slowly went off. And another one I was caring, he was a vile man. None of his family wanted to see him. And I said to him, I love you. And his response was, I know. And that was him basically saying back to me, I love you too, and I thank you. And every death is not the same. Everybody goes through a different stage. But the thing that I'd like to close with you is, according to Hebrews 11, it says, it's appointed unto man once to die. So we are all going to die. We're sure of nothing, but we are sure that we are going to die. And it says, once we die, then we have the judgment. So the other part now, on the pastor side of it, when you're dead, you don't remember nothing, you know, visit nobody, you have no memory of anything. I could get into that at another time, what the Bible says about death and dying. But if you die with a knowledge, according to us, we were trained that Jesus Christ is the only way, and that he came, and if we believe on him, we should not perish, but will have everlasting life. And therefore, with that assurance, we'll say, I can face tomorrow because he lives. So at this point, I'll say thank you so much for allowing me to share with you for a few minutes and to
And
let you
thank
know
you.
that life is precious while you're alive. Live it to the fullest, forgive if you can, and just leave a legacy of love if possible.
Amen. That was church. That was church, folks. It's like you want to say amen. Thank you, Pastor. Pastor, you've been my guidance and my rock. I appreciate you. You even bring me food when I need food.
Oh, my word.
I, I appreciate. I'm eating the bananas.
All right. That's
I
good.
ate some in my cereal today, so I appreciate you for always thinking of me. That's true love. That's true love, and I appreciate you so much. Next up, we're gonna have Milagros, and of course, Milagros is gonna be talking about term life and mortgage protection. So, Milagros, you got the floor, and Robinson Ortez, you guys have the floor. Okay.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having us. I
Amen,
am
amen.
I'm Robinson. I'm Milagros' son, so I'll let her speak first.
Thank you. So, ladies first. But wow, wow, wow. Pastor Rosemarie, I am touched by your words. Thank you so much for sharing. And talking about end of life, we are to talk about mortgage protection through life insurance. My son is here with me, and also some part of my teams, they are also here. Thank you guys for showing up. And we work together to actually serve those that everybody needs life insurance, because everybody knows that we are going to that stage, right? Pastor Rosemary, we are all going. However, we also can talk about how we protect our assets through life insurance. And especially, there's life insurance that can include living benefit. So there's different types of life insurance, and we can talk about whole life, term life insurance with living benefits, index universal life with living benefits, and final expense. And talking about following up with Pastor Rosemarie, final expense, how much is that needed in those final times, when that time comes, that the family members don't have to go to GoFundMe and crowdfund, but they have left things together, things in place to take care of the finances that's needed for the end of life. And talking about life insurance and term life insurance as a mortgage protection. So basically, what we do, how that works, is that if you have a mortgage, let's say for 30 years, you will want to be protected with a term life insurance that will last those 30 years. The younger you are, the better. But anytime that you have a mortgage, do the due diligence to search for a mortgage protection or term life insurance with living benefits. When we talk about living benefits, you don't have to pass to actually use the life insurance. Let's say that you get sick, that something happens, a chronic or critical terminal illness. If you had qualified for living benefits, you can actually use that life insurance to pay that mortgage. That, hey, bills are piling up even when you are sick, even when you are in the hospital, bills are piling up. And we're going to talk about later, as Viv said, that we will share a couple of live testimonies that had happened, and we know about it. But in terms of mortgage protection, term life insurance is very, very affordable, number one. And again, the younger you are, the cheapest that it is very affordable, is very comparable We can help you search for what will be the best for you. It all depends on your needs. It all depends on what is the mortgage amount, what is the rest of your debt that you have. Let's see what is the best that you can get and what's your need. It all depends on your need, and it all depends on the time frame that you need it for. So basically, if you the right amount to protect your family, you think about what is that my family will need. Do I have small children at home that they will need college funds? So let me just get protected, but for the right amount, or let's at least cover for the amount of your mortgage. And I'm gonna leave my son to continue with this topic.
Well, I think Milagros hit all the key points. One thing I'd like to mention, something that Vivian said, and I'm going to expand upon it. You know, I think everyone here is primarily a minority. And one of the biggest things that we have within the minority community is, I think we're seeing more and more of it where we're not leaving a legacy. And so it affects us all here right now. And as my mom, as we've grown in this industry, we've seen so many examples. And I'm sorry if you hear, I have 4 babies, so they're running around and doing their thing. But we see so many examples over time of lack of planning. And so you probably have heard it before, and I'll say it again. When you don't plan, you plan to fail. And that's what happens for the most part. So I have a couple of examples that I'm gonna bring up later. I'm gonna go on mute so AJ doesn't stop interrupting us.
Thank you so much. And yes, we do have a couple of examples that basically I'm going to start with mine, and later Robinson can share. But I know that Beef has other speakers that will come in before we share more examples. But I can tell you, 2023, February 9, 2023, my husband went to work as normal, building electrician at a company here in Florida, in Orlando. He's there. He had arrived 1 minute before he had arrived to a light pole that he had to fix, and he had arrived there 1 minute before a car came in and crossed him over. I mean, literally. He was run over by a car right at work. He's still alive. He's still alive, but just by God's miracle. My husband will never go back to work, especially as an electrician, right? His head was crushed, several bones broken. I mean, he was almost declared almost dead at the scene. Thank God he's still alive, and he will. Praise the Lord for his miracles. However, those are the times that you think, do I have living benefits? Because the bills only pile up, and even being in the hospital, the bills went up higher than ever before. But you know what? We had things in place. Thank God. Because one of the things that I can mention is long-term care. Statistics says that 1 in 4 people will need long-term care at one point in their life. Even goes and says statistic that 70% of people at any time in their life will need long-term care. Do we have living benefits? Not only term life insurance, but are we planning for those times when things happen and the mortgage is still there and we need to respond financially? And thank you so much. Thank you, Beverly.
Appreciate it, Milagro. You're on time. So you had anything else you want to say? You got like a couple more minutes. If you had anything else you wanted to mention.
Okay, I think I'll go. I think AJ's quiet now.
Okay.
So this is a quick story and I'll summarize it. This was here in St. Cloud. I think most of us are all from Central Florida. So this is pretty recent, but there was a car accident, not my dad's. We don't want to talk about that one, but there was a car accident. It was a young boy. He's 16 years old. He had just got his driver's license and he hit two kids that were actually on bicycles on the street. So after the course of a lawsuit, certain injuries, the kids are still alive, thank God. But the parents of the children who were hit, they went beyond suing the car insurance and actually held the parents liable who insured that vehicle. Their house was actually placed in a trust prior to this vehicular accident. And so as the lawyers pry around and they want to figure out what assets are in your nest egg, they will come after everything, your 401k, all your bank accounts, and everything that's in your personal name. This family still has a house. Maybe you're on the side of the guys who got hit or not, whether those injuries were serious or not, but they were actually able to keep their house. And so, it really goes to drive the what Vivienne is kind of preaching here about looking at your plan, protecting your assets, especially your home, which for most of us is our biggest asset, and you can lose it at the snap of a finger. One wrong turn, you look down at your cell phone for a second and you hit someone, you can be completely exposed. There are many other benefits with the trust and then, passing the assets down, but it's just a real small example that can happen to any of us. We see accidents every day. We've lived it in our family personally. I'm surprised my mom was able to get through that story, but she summarized a lot of it because it brings a lot of emotions for us. But we went through a really turbulent time. And then we've seen it outside as well. In my family, my personal family, close cousins. I've had one that had a stroke within the last 3 years, who for over 3 months, she couldn't bathe herself or get dressed. And the living benefits cover that portion of time, right? Because you get a percentage of your life insurance policy that you are, incapable of doing certain things. And then recently, one of my beloved cousins that were really close had a heart attack on stage doing a hobby that he loves, which is singing. He does it for fun. And he had a heart attack while he was in Miami. And he's self-employed. So it really just he has a mortgage, okay? He doesn't have disability insurance, which if any of us are, some of us are employed in a normal W-2 job, your paycheck gets cut in half when you're in an accident like that, or you have to undergo surgery. And so having, a life insurance plan along with your legacy plan is extremely important. We're here to help. Our advice is free, our information is free. We're here to talk to you, and we want to help you get everything in place. We work with a huge platform of attorneys nationwide as well. So, if you ever have questions or just want to assess what your insurance options are and look at pricing, we're always here to answer questions and help you guys out. And
All
thank
right,
you.
appreciate that, Dr. Robinson. Yes, we'll take any questions and share the information at the end of the podcast. And so everyone will have access to all the information. Next, I'm going to introduce Miss Beverly. That's going to talk about the myth and facts about the reverse mortgage and things like that. So Beverly, you have the floor. Beverly is a realtor with Preferred Real Estate Brokers. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. Well, I am educated by the previous speakers. First, I'm going to talk about reverse mortgage, what it is, but I want you to know that I am not a mortgage broker. But I know someone who went through this, and I actually went through it with them, so I know a little bit about reverse mortgage. First of all, I'll answer the question of what is a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage is a special type of loan available to homeowners age 62 or older that allows them to convert part of their equity in the home into cash without having to sell the property or take out a loan in order to use some of the money from the equity in their home. So instead of you paying a lender like a regular mortgage, the lender pays you. In that, the holder of the reverse mortgage allows you to live in the property without paying mortgage for that time of period. The loan is repaid when the homeowner sells the property or when he dies, or if he has got sick and having to move out or so. Then the property, the heir will either sell the property or they can buy the property themselves by taking out a loan. There are common myths about reverse mortgages. First one is the bank owns my home. That is so false. You retain ownership of your home just like with a regular mortgage. The second one, I could be forced out of my home. That's also is a myth. As long as you live in your home, you pay your property taxes, your insurance, and you maintain the home, you can stay as long as you want or as long as you live. And another myth is that I won't be able to leave my house to my heirs. That is also false. Your heirs can still inherit the home. They can choose to repay the loan, usually by selling it, and keep any remaining equity that's left. And 4, it's only for people who are desperate or broke. That one is so false because many financially stable retirees use reverse mortgage to supplement their income, reduce their tax burdens, or delay their Social Security. And of course, when you delay your Social Security, you are paid more for Social Security. So there are several benefits of a reverse mortgage. You have access to tax-free cash. You receive payments that are not considered income, so you don't have to pay taxes on that. That money is yours. So, and then there's no monthly mortgage payments. This helps retirees of fixed income to manage expenses more comfortably. And of course, you can stay in your home as long as you want. You stay while your equity is supporting your retirement. And you have options of withdrawing your money from the portion of your equity that you want to take out. You can choose a lump sum, you can choose monthly payment, or you can choose a line of credit, or you can have a combination of all the above. And there's a non-recourse loan, meaning you or your heirs will never owe more than the home is worth, even if the house, if the market drops, meaning your house is underwater, then you won't have to pay because your home is insured by FHA. So reverse mortgage is something that is desirable. I know of people who at age 62, they do a reverse mortgage. And what they do, they sell that house, they pay off the mortgage, and then they buy another home. But one thing we have to understand, that with a reverse mortgage, you have to live in the home. So Therefore, if you sell that home, which is yours, because some people will say, I can't sell my house because it's not mine, it's yours. And you can do whatever you want to. But the only difference is that you're going to pay up what you owe. And so a lot of people use that as leverage, financial leverage. You know, age 62, older person wouldn't do that. They would stay in there, pay no mortgage, live as freely as they want, buy what they want, and live happily ever after. When they die, or if they have to move out, their heirs, whoever they have as their heirs, would take over that property, pay off what is owed, and whatever is left, they have it. Or as I said, if they want to take over the house for themselves, they like the house and they want to keep it, they just take out a loan. Or if they have already cash, they just pay for it and keep the home. So I'll reserve other questions for at the question answer period.
Thank you, Beverly,
You're
for
welcome.
for telling us all about that. And you know, all of this that everyone is saying, all our speakers are saying, is so important. So important for end of life. And we have to get ready. And we have to get ready so we can have peace of mind. Who should consider this? Homeowners with primary residence, families waiting to avoid probate, individual without full estate plan need to consider this. Seniors planning to transfer wealth, or first time, estate planners. There's so many different ways that you can go about doing this or go about planning it. But just like I said, reach out to your financial advisor, reach out to your attorney to see what's the best route that you need to take in order to get yourself in order. Just don't say, okay, well, you know what, I'm gonna die and I'm not just gonna worry about it. I had a girlfriend of mine, and no lie, I didn't even know that she did it. She was very young. She died very young. And she planned her funeral from the start to the beginning. Somebody contacted me after she died and said, she has you inside of her will to do some kind of speaking. And I said, what, really? Yes, sir. She said, yeah, she's planned out her entire funeral and she has everybody there that wanted to speak, and she told them what they needed to speak about and stuff like that. It's like, be prepared, be ready, because one way or another, we are going to get there, so be ready. My family generation lived to see, many, many years. We lived to see in our 90s, but that don't mean we can't die in our 60s or 50s or something like that. We all got to be ready. But everyone on here, I hold you accountable to help your loved ones. Okay, help the elderly people, help them, reach out to them because they need the help. They're yearning on the inside just to says, hey, I need help. And it's for us, to be able to help them and answer any question and direct them in the right path. Find them some kind of referral or something like that, where we can say, hey, go, here's a CPA, here's an attorney, here's a doula, here's a life, here's a financial planner, whatever it is that they need, we have the resource. We have the resource. So it's 7:25. We have about 5 minutes for questions and things like that. So if anyone has any question, you can put it in the chat. Or if anyone that is on and then they want to open up their mic and ask a question, feel free. This is the part where you can ask all the question that you need.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
I am Paulette, and I was so happy when I seen this because I am also a realtor. I'm a broker in New York, and I don't have a lot of probate sale and stuff like that, but I do come across them. But I've been thinking about them just for personal reasons and family reasons, and I'm really grateful for the information. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. There's a couple questions that I have regarding the insurance. First, can you get insurance for your children that are over the age of 18 without them signing for it? Can you buy insurance on someone?
Milagros and Robinson.
If they are over 18, they do need to sign. They do need to know and give you permission. You can be the owner, but they do have to sign the policy.
Policy. Okay.
Adult. You can also get life insurance in your babies 15 days old and more. As soon as they have Social Security, Robinson can talk about that too. Yes.
Yes, I was asking because I have 4 children and I have insurance for 3 and well, for 2. The other 2 were on riders on my insurance, but after they pass a certain age, the rider no longer applies to them. And I find it very difficult now to get their own insurance because, you know, young people don't think they need these things. And when you're trying to make preparation, that's why I'm asking if you can do it without them. It's just so difficult to get them to settle down to do stuff like this. So that's one thing. And the second question I have is in regards to um, the trust for New York State. Do you have to do the will first, then the trust, or can you do the trust and and I'm not sure how they work together.
Yeah, I think you might need to ask your attorney, because with me, what I did is in Florida, I did both of them simultaneously. So what I did, I sat down with him and he did the will and also did the trust at the same time. So he did it both at the same time.
Okay.
And then he was also able to put my house inside the trust. That was filed at a later date, but he did do the trust and he also did the
Okay.
will at the same time.
Okay, gotcha.
Basically,
Gotcha.
the will is part of the trust. Mhm.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, Paulette.
Thank you, guys. Bravo.
You're welcome.
We are licensed in New York, by the way. If anything, we can help you separately if you need to.
Oh, good. I would love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You can contact Viv and she will refer her, give you our information.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sure.
Thank you. Do you have it? Does anyone else have any other questions?
I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
This is-
Michelle. Oh,
Yeah.
Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, hi. I found it so difficult getting in. I'm sorry that I was late, but it's okay. I have 2 questions now that you just said that you're licensed in New York. Are you also licensed or have contacts in North Carolina? Because I've left Florida.
We are licensed in North Carolina.
Okay. Oh, you are. So I actually have a full set of documents, like Viv was saying, that I had done in Florida, but now that I'm here and I have a new home here, so I need to get it updated and this house into that trust. And
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I am a licensed professional, financial professional.
Mhm.
We are talking about life insurance license. About the trust, Viv has attorneys, and we do have attorneys in every single state that we
Okay.
can help you with that too through Viv. Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, great. So I'll get your information from Viv. The other one is for Beverly. Hi, Beverly. Haven't
Hi,
seen you.
Michelle. How are you?
Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, yes, it's a long
Yes.
time.
Yes. So I know you talked about the myths of a reverse mortgage, but one
Yes,
question I have, and I know there are some myths out there, especially when they first came about in a crash after
right.
2008, because I have a friend in Orlando who actually, after her husband passed, they had her to come off of her deed because she wasn't of age and then threatened to take the house once he passed. But I kind of got that straight for her before I left. And so she's there and she's not afraid of having to leave. But the question I had is, since you are using your own equity, whether it's 10 years or 20 years,
Hmm.
why is it that you have to pay that back when in fact that equity is part of the value of your home? um, and it's like it's your money and you're just using it, as opposed to going to a mortgage person and doing a mortgage refi and paying so much $10,000 for them to push a button. or what they call a HELOC or whatever. So
HELOC,
when
yeah.
you do a reverse mortgage, does the same things apply? You have to pay that money back, or your family has to pay it back?
Well, okay. If the home is, say, there are more expenses, you use up all the equity then, because remember, you're not paying mortgage.
Correct.
Yes. So if the house goes underwater, HUD insurance pays for it. So you walk away, your heirs will walk away without owing a penny.
Okay.
The insurance pays up everything. Say, for example, I have a reverse mortgage now. I use up part of my equity. I can take the money depending how I want it. If I want a lump sum, I could have taken a lump sum. If I want some of it now and some of it later, I can do that too. But suppose I live a long time and I'm not paying any mortgage. So, but remember, it's a loan, so it's also building interest. So that can add up depending on the interest rate. So that can add up. So at the time when I die, or if I get sick, or if I have to move out because of illness, or I want to sell it, I will have, depending on how much the house values now, because that depends on the interest rate, what's going on in the economy,
The world.
the housing market, whether your house price is going to drop or it's going to escalate, depending on what it's worth at the time. Even if it's underwater, you owe more than what your house is worth. You won't have to pay back a penny.
Okay.
Because HUD insurance is paying for it. Just like if you take out a loan and it's less than 20%, or you have a FHA loan, you're paying HUD insurance. It's basically the same thing. But the thing about it, no matter how much you owe, more than what your house is valued, your heirs don't have to pay a penny.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
And Robinson, last question. You talked about term life insurance for mortgage protection. Now, is that two separate policies? Is there a mortgage protection policy and a term policy, which I know what that is, but I hear a lot now about mortgage protection policies.
Yeah.
But is it really one and the same, and you're just, doing it the way you need it, or is it a separate policy?
So here's what I'll tell you. You'll hear a lot of information out there because insurance can be quite unique. Now, there are some that can be completely structured just to your mortgage. However, best practice is if you have a 30-year mortgage, why wouldn't you get a 30-year term to cover the value of that house throughout the life of that mortgage?
That makes
Now,
sense.
a lot of this is going to depend on your age, and how much you owe. Other liabilities all come into effect. So when it really comes to life insurance, we really have to sit down and assess your needs. But there are many types of products, and then we just have to see which one really best fits your current situation. And
Awesome.
so that's kind of the gist of it. And while I'm speaking, I just have one quick thing that I wanted to clarify on. So I have 4 little babies, right? You can also get a term life insurance. One of our speakers from New York earlier mentioned how she had an insurance on herself, and she had her children on as a rider to her policy. So it means if something happened to her children, there would be a payout, for, God forbid, an accident or the death of a child. You can actually insure your children as babies. So all 4 of my kids actually have a cash value life insurance. So I'm contributing to their savings now, so that when they turn 18, I can transfer over that policy to them, and
Right.
they own it. And they've actually built a small cash lump sum where they can then go buy their first rental, right? So we're going to call Vivienne to buy their first real estate property. That's my
There you go.
sales pitch there.
All right,
So as
thank you.
grandparents, I think some of us here are grandparents. I know my mom has 9 grandkids. This is something that you can do as a gift. $50 a month, $100 a month, is very flexible, but it's something that we can set up as well.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, you're done? I have two questions for you,
Hold
Robinson.
on, Bev. Hold on
Oh,
before you ask your question.
okay.
It says, Paulette says, what do you do when you have outlived your term life insurance?
Oh, yes.
Hey, that's a very good
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell the easiest answer is you need to sit down with the licensed financial professional who can really lay out a plan. Because that question came out because maybe you just bought a term at one point and you didn't really have a holistic plan or a long-term plan. So what me and Milagros do in our team, which a lot of them are here, is we really sit down and we give you that full life kind of plan where, sometimes it could just be, now that many of us are getting at that older stage, we say, hey, you know what? Now I want to start planning for my final expense. And it could be a policy as low as $25,000, but with the small premium, you don't know when the end is going to be, but now you have something put away. So, there's a lot of analogies out there that people put out. Term is for when the bills are high and you don't have a lot of money in the bank. But we're supposed to be planning the entire time so that when we get to those later days, we don't, we're not just relying on term, because term gets expensive over time. So there's a lot of other whole life policies that are, very low in premiums, that can still offer you that kind of buffer. And then once you get to a certain age, there's not really many options in the insurance world, except for final expense. And one of the partners that we have, just to give them a huge shout out, is Everest, because their final expenses, they do a lot of this legacy planning that we're kind of talking about. And they actually, one of the biggest things that they offer is concierge service. If you've never planned a funeral, I hope you never have to, but it is probably one of the worst things that you can do. And the amount of
Absolutely.
stress that you go through planning a funeral, or even thinking about it, when our dad was in the hospital on a deathbed, essentially, just starting to even fathom having to find a funeral home and go through all this. We have final expense that they do everything for you. So imagine what that does to your family, that it takes a huge burden off. And I'm not trying to sit here and sell you guys all final expense, but there are many options on different stages of your life. But it starts with a simple conversation where we do what's called a financial needs analysis. We lay out where you currently are so that you have a better understanding of where you are, and then where we want to be. And it's all about having that peace of mind. And we don't charge for that. That's completely free, right? The insurance company pays me, so you don't have to worry about that. And then I think we had another question.
Beverly had a couple of questions, I think. Let me see.
All right, bet.
Yeah, Beverly, go ahead, Beverly, while I
Okay.
read.
Back to Paulette's question. If she wants to purchase insurance for her daughters who are 18 or older, couldn't she purchase an insurance? She purchased it for them because she has an interest in them. Couldn't she do that?
Correct. Because they're of age, they do have to sign. She can be the owner and pay the premiums.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
So
That is
I'm glad
correct.
you answered that now, that she
Yes.
knows.
Yeah. I hope
that.
that answered the
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank
for
you for
clarity.
that.
Yeah.
It's just now some insurance company required them to do medical, and then trying to get them to go get that done.
Yeah.
That's where I'm having the problem.
Yeah.
Usually it depends on the amount of
It does.
insurance. that
Yeah,
you
it usually
purchase.
does depend on the amount. Easiest thing, I think, Vivian put our information up there. Contact Milagros and we'll see what
I
your
will be
options are.
talking to her. Mm.
And, another
Okay.
thing is, one thing I'll just say about, us in general, not saying that we're the best, although we kind of are, is we operate as a brokerage. What does that mean? And this matters in the insurance world in general. We are not tied to one company. Okay, so I'm not just selling you the Everest final expense. I can work with a variety of company. We have over 150 carriers that we work with. So where there may be one that says, oh, you have to have, blood drawn today in order to get insured. There are many carriers and they all vary. We only work with rated A carriers. So you're not worried about, having not a good insurance policy. So we do our due diligence to make sure you're getting the best, and we shop around for the best rate.
I want to
Right.
respect everyone's time. Anyone that needs to drop off for any reason, feel free. But if you are still here asking question, we can still, I'm not in any hurry. We can still carry on the conversation.
Okay. Can I ask my other question now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What age limit is the mortgage protection insurance?
So Milagros, you wanna take this one? But this is what I'll tell you. It's very tailored because when you say mortgage protection, it's kind of one of those blanket statements.
Yeah.
So, and I'll let Milagros elaborate.
A term, what I understand, it's a declining
Okay.
term insurance.
Yeah.
So what's the age limit for that?
It all depends on the carrier, but basically most of the carriers they tap it to 80 or 84.
80 or 84. Okay.
However, for a term life insurance for an
Mhm.
80, 84, even 70 is
Very
very
expensive. Yeah,
Very expensive.
that I know.
Yeah. So in that instance, we'd look at a whole life product, which would be the final expense.
Correct.
Something that maybe would just cover, I would say 75, maybe 100,000 if we were kind of looking at the higher end. But it really depends, on how much you're willing to pay. And then depending on overall liabilities that we're leaving behind, right?
Correct.
So, the question, on that same subject.
Mhm.
So when you see these things, they say at 80, like you was mentioning, so that's that. So if you're still looking at it and you're 80, that means you're still alive. So all the money that you've put into it is actually gone and you have nothing after the age of 80?
It's a good question.
No.
And it depends on the type of product that you ended up selecting.
Mhm.
So the analogy I used before, right? When the bills are high, you have term life. A term life only covers you for 10,
Right.
20, 30 years, and that's
Right.
it.
Right.
There's whole life products. Those are kind of our long-term planning. The whole life is going to carry you to your 110.
Right. But if you don't start it until you're 60 and 70, it's very expensive.
Your premium going to be very high.
Absolutely. So then folks look at term only for a lesser premium, but it expires. So then you put that
100%.
money into a
Into nothing.
policy that is
So
going to expire.
when you're young, one of the strategies, and you will love this one, because what happens is you start paying when you're young, and there's a couple different strategies. The whole life product. I personally have 5 of them. And I have one for each one of my kids, including myself. But I'm paying my premiums. The life insurance policy isn't a huge policy, but I fund it to the maximum of the limits that allows me according to IRS rules, etc. But eventually I get to the point in the policy where everything I've put into it, I can actually borrow. And I recently borrowed to pay off some other debts, and I'm trying to move into a house and all that. So I'm living proof that it works. And then it gets to a point where everything I've put in, I actually have access to borrow it. And as time goes on, when I'm in my 60s, 70 years old, I've accumulated more cash than the policy was ever worth at the time.
Absolutely.
So this account, is kind of off topic a little bit, but it is part of the overall legacy planning, because now I have an asset that I've actually built over time through life insurance. So those products do exist. But it's something that you have to start educating and having these conversations when, with the youth, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and understanding that, hey, $50 today makes a huge difference when you're 60, Maybe you can't max fund your 401k with $6,000 a year, but if you put $50 in this account, you at least have a nest egg. And God forbid something happens to you, your mortgage is paid, your kids have food on the table, etc. So it's kind of a hard conversation to have right now. It's still taboo for a lot of our and I always harp on minorities because I'm a minority and I've seen it. And so it's something that we're working on continuously educating. So another shout out to Vivienne for hosting us and holding this. But it's
Well, we have to do this again. again, because it's needed and it's something that we have to talk about. Maybe we'll do another one on you just talking about the different life insurance and different things like that, and just breaking it down. And it'd be just your show or something like that. Same thing with Miss Rosemarie, maybe just I know everyone, I had the opportunity to talk quickly, but breaking it down each person, because the thing is, you go through something fast, but like being a doula, it's like, okay, from start to finish, this is what you need to do. Handhold the person from start to finish, because it's a lot at the end of your life that you have to think about.
Absolutely.
So, but do you guys have any final questions? And then what topics are you guys looking to hear about next time? Next time it's going to be the attorney is going to be on, and she's going to be, I'll send a message out to everyone, and she'll answer anything about doing the will, doing the trust, stuff like that, answer question about the probates and stuff like that. So if do you guys have any extra questions?
No, ma'am. Not I.
So grateful for this platform. Thank you so much, Viv.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for agreeing to come on and speak. I appreciate you. I have learned a lot. No matter how many times I hear it, there's times that I miss out a lot of things, but just hearing it over and over again, and it just jolt my memory. To say, hey, maybe I got 6 grandkids. Maybe I need to start saying, hey, buy their life insurance policy now when it's less expensive. Because I remember when I was young, it was less expensive. Now I'm old, and I can't get it. They're telling me it's $400 a month or something like that. And my medical insurance is like over $1,000. It's like,
crazy. It's crazy.
But I appreciate everyone for coming on. Thank you guys. We look forward to doing more of this. My presidency is winding down, so I'm still busy. Okay, I'm still dealing with different things at the association and all. I'm then selling real estate. But as I wind down my presidency for the association, I will start doing more of these. So of course, the next one is going to be in August, and then of course we'll plan one in September and stuff like that. Keep having them, because you know what the thing is, a lot of time we don't educate the public out there, and then if you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you, and they're not going to tell it the right way.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen
so,
to that.
So we got to realize that and the thing is, the news that is out there, it's fake news and it's false news. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be able to tell people the real news or what's going on. It's like, okay, you guys need to protect your home. You need to put your home in probate. You need to put your home in a trust. You need to get your will done. You need to make sure, you plan out your funeral expense and stuff like that. Right. You need to make sure you keep in touch with your family. You need to make sure you're loving on your family. Okay, because you never know when it's your last day when your eyes is closed. Okay, so we got to be loving on our family, and all of this plays a part. And I thank each and every one of you for coming on and telling your story. And if no one else have anything else to say, we're gonna say thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward in connecting with you real soon.
Amen.
You're welcome. Amen. God bless everyone.
God bless you too.
Take care. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Bye-bye.
Michelle,
Thank
it's
you.
awesome
Thanks
seeing you.
love.
Pam was on
Much
for
love.
about an hour.
Miss
She
Rose,
dropped off.
much love to you.
Yeah, Miss Rose, I
Thank you,
appreciate
darling.
you, girl. Thank you so much.
I still want you to teach me to sew.
Oh, I'm sewing as I speak. My sewing machine is up.
Ah, okay.
Yes, it's a good thing.
One day.
Good night,
you guys. Take
Good
care.
night.
Rhonda.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jacqueline Knight Campbell, for coming on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Everybody.
Bye. Take care. Toodles. Rhonda always say toodles. Take care. It's good seeing you guys.